Hey everybody, what's up? Gary Simon here. So today we're going to be hopping into the world of Figma to design a mobile prototype for a fake web app company that's going to be based on music. And really, I just wanted to do this for multiple purposes, really. First, I want to teach UI design fundamentals, kind of in the same way that I'm doing on the upcoming full, 10-hour Scrimba course. You're going to get a little bit of a taste of it here. And then also to feature two different plugins for Figma that I thought were really great. The first here is Coda for Figma, which this allows you to just put in sample data and it pulls data from like Spotify and all these other things. So we'll be using that for our music-based prototype. And also Iconify, which is great for just finding SVG-based icons. You can just pull them in and change them really easily. And the other purpose for doing this video is because I want to have a little bit of a contest. So this header up here, this is part of the UI design that we're going to be doing, but I don't show the whole thing off to the side. There's actually going to be like a home screen, and that's what we're going to be focusing on. So if you fast forward all the way to the end of this video, you'll see it, of course. But the challenge is to create a second screen that has all if somebody clicks on the artist title from the first screen, this is going to have the artist name, the album name, the date released it needs to have, the list, and then list the album tracks. Each should have a play icon, a length, and a title. And just try to make it, a design that really fits and flows well with the first design. If you want to work in animations and micro interactions, you can do that as well. And then what we'll do on my upcoming live show here on Friday, my live UI UX show, I will feature a few that I thought were really good. So if you want to take part in that, just go and tag me on Twitter. So it's at designcourse.com. And then it's also linked in the YouTube description. And so, yeah, if you want to be, if you want thousands of people to see your design, go ahead and partake. You have a few days. It's obviously Tuesday now. So you have just until Friday to submit that. So just tag me, give it a shareable Figma prototype. And yeah, maybe I'll show yours, or maybe I won't either. Before we begin, there's never been a better time to try Linode. From now until April 30th of 2020, Linode is giving every single account access to object storage for free. That's right. Whether you create an account all the way back in 2003 or even just today, you can take advantage of free object storage until April 30th of 2020. What is object storage, you might ask? Well, object storage is an easy way to store and access data without the need for running a server. It's perfect for data that doesn't regularly change, like images and other multimedia files, important backups, or giant archives for servers that might need more storage space. One of the best use cases for object storage is hosting your own static website. You can have a site up and highly available on Linode's object storage with as little as an HTML and CSS file. To give object storage a try for free and get an additional $20 on your new Linode account, sign up at linode.com/design course. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. This is going to be for a fictional app called all.music, some name that obviously sucks and I came up with in 2 seconds. And we want to create a new artboard here. We're going to use iPhone 11 Pro Max, so we're not doing anything like responsive or anything like that. It takes too much time for just a simple purpose. And we're going to go with a dark color scheme, all right? So something right around here, which happens to be 1A, 1A, 1A for the hex color code. All right, so now in here, we're going to start with a logo. I'm just going to use the type tool, and we'll just say all caps, all.music, all right? So let's actually see this thing, make it white. And we'll change this here to no, we're going to use Nunito. Yep, there we go. And then we'll make this bold as well. All right, and we'll increase the size here. Let's see. Right around there looks, I don't know. That looks pretty good. Actually, we're going to go lowercase on that. There we go. Okay, so I'd say right around here, we want some margin and padding, but not too much. For the size, again, we're gonna, I think I'm gonna bump it up one more notch to 19. There we go. And then to introduce a little bit of color, like a primary color, which you don't have to do. Sometimes you can go monochromatic, black or white, not a big deal. I'm going to change just the music bit right here. All right, so where are we at? There we go. We're going to change that, the fill, to maybe my old Corsetro colors, like around here. Nah, a little bit more blue right there. I think I like that. All right, cool. So Now we're going to have, we keep on working on this nav bar area. We're going to take the rectangle tool and let's see here. Scale this up just a bit, get it into place. This is going to be a search bar. All right, so we're going to take the border radiuses. I think we'll just go to 15 here. There we go. Now, what's wrong with this? Like if I were to leave the search bar this color, what is the issue with it really? It just draws way too much attention to itself, right? So in terms of UI design, when we're talking about contrast, it's important to get the contrast right where it makes sense to make it right? So if there's type that needs to be red, has to be a minimum amount of contrast. If there's a search bar, the search bar is going to have an icon in it. It's the icon that really needs to contrast the most so that people easily identify this area as being the search bar. The search bar doesn't have to have a lot of contrast like this, all right? So just as long as they can see it and then they can touch it, with their finger, they're gonna be good to go. So we're gonna take this maybe right down here. So it's definitely enough contrast to where you can see it's there. We might even be able to go a little bit darker, and that's good. So this is where we're going to use our very first plugin here. So we're going to right click, we go to plugins. For those of you who don't have it, just click on manage plugins and you'll go to plugins here, browse plugins, search Iconify, all right? So that's what you want. Install that. Mine's already installed, all right? And then we will right click, plugins, and Iconify. There we go. Let's get everything big. And we want a magnifying glass, right? So magnify. Maybe we'll do search instead. That makes, oops, put a C in there, Gary. What the heck is going on? There we go. Search. I like this one. Yep, that'll work. Just left click, drag it on, change color. We're going to choose white, not red, right there. That's good. And by the way, just because we're already here, I also know I want like a hamburger menu. So I'm just going to type in menu here. And I want a different one, like a different style type of hamburger menu. I like this one, so I'm going to pull it off over here as well and make that white. All right, so now we need to get this situated. So right now, just leaving it as is, what's the problem with this? It's too damn big, right? So we want to scale this thing down, make sure it has enough white space around itself and the search container. All right, so right around here, looks like it's pretty good right there. We have a nice amount of white space and it looks even, it looks equal. Always want to have equal white space. Also, yeah, so now if I take this, basically same exact size, I don't really need to adjust this because you want your icons and everything to be the same size for the most part. There'll be an exception coming up here. So now I'm looking at where to place this. So I'm looking at the white space at the top of the element and also to the right and comparing it with the white space over here and also at the top here. There's going to be more white space on the top of this element on this side, but that's okay if we're comparing it to like the top of the L's. We just want to make sure it's centered up, and they are, as you can see. If I move it, hold shift, we're all pretty much really in line. So I also might want to extend this out just to make it a little bit wider, make it easier for people to click. So let's look at this now. This needs fixed because we could see there's a certain amount of white space between this side of the search bar and here to the right of the C, but then we have this big old gap right here, right? So again, we want to even things out and make them as symmetrical as possible. In fact, we could probably stand to push this over. There we go. Right around here. It's going to look good. So now that looks, to me, pretty solid. Okay. So now let's continue on. We're going to have a label right here called feature artist. All right, so feature artist, hit escape, make it white. And now we have to ask ourselves, all right, so we added a new type-based element. We have the logo up here, right? So what, in terms of structuring your content or information architecture, what's more important? Is it this label right here, this primary label, or is it just the logo? it's the label, right? It's going to inform the user more so than what the logo will about what, this page is about or what this particular section is about. So we want to make sure that we distinguish and we establish that visual hierarchy through a number of different ways. You can, and you don't have to use them all. Like scale is one, that's a really good one. Font weight is another. Color is another, and also position and alignment is another. Sometimes you can do a couple or three, whatever. The more you do, the more you're going to establish that visual hierarchy, but it doesn't always make sense to do that. All right, so now we're going to have this feature artist blip right here. And sometimes it's good to zoom out, to get the whole artboard in perspective, to make sure you're getting your scale and all that stuff correct. I'm almost thinking possibly these elements might be a little bit too small on the top. So you can just, it's not a big deal. Just go ahead and restructure things. You might want to scale this up a bit, just a tad bit. Maybe move it over. And that's a little bit better in my opinion. And then we can go ahead and add, I'm going to have an icon here. So once again, we're going to use our iconify. And we're going to use, for this one, a star. And we're using outline sort of icon, so it's good to keep consistent with that. So I'm just going to drag this star here. Some of the icons show up real large, so you just got to scale them down. Shift and Alt will allow you to do that. And then we'll go ahead and make this. This time I think we're going to use our primary color just to get that color in a little bit more. So we're going to stick that now right here. All right. And I probably will scale this down. This feature artist is looking quite big. Oh, I screwed something up real quick. Let me go back real quick. I double clicked into that when I changed it, and I should not have done that. So now I need to scale that down, bring it back. Get this over here. There we go. So now we'll scale this down. Once again, change to our primary color. Get that over here. And I'm going to scale this down just a little bit. All right, so now we have feature artist here. Maybe it should be featured. There we go. All right, good amount of white space between the header and this area. Again, you're working on a mobile device, a relatively small device, so you don't want to have like too much white space where you're unnecessarily pushing things down, especially if you have, a decent amount of content that you need to create for and account for essentially. So in here, we're just going to have like a big panel of like this, and then we'll use the other plugin. What's it called again? Well, I already forget. Well, don't worry. It'll come to me. So we're going to do 15, just like we did 15 up here, just to keep things consistent. For now, I'm just going to drop that opacity down. And then we're going to right click plugins and we're going to go to Coda. That's it. That's what it's called. I knew it would come to me. And because we're dealing with a music app, we'll click on music and then we'll just click on image. And we're going to click on it until we get an image that we like. All right. Something that works well, particularly with our color scheme, because, we want to show it off. And come on. Give me something that I want. All right, I feel like that Jeopardy music is going to be playing. No, definitely not that one. All right, this will work because there's no type in it. There's no other text. And I want to have type inside of this container. So I'm going to duplicate that, Control D, right click and bring to front. I'm going to put it right here. Again, I'm thinking about where I want to situate this. Even white space on the left and also at the bottom. And actually, I'm going to have a secondary text too, so I can push it up just for a second. And then with this coda, I can also just put in the let's see, the artist name, Moneybag Yo. So you can just keep on clicking on these until you get one that you like. I'm going to leave it. I don't care. All right. So who is Moneybag Yo? I need to meet that person. And then we're also going to take this. This is going to be the album title, I guess. Yeah, the album title. So visual hierarchy, we're going to establish that visual hierarchy between the artist name and this element. by scaling it down. So scale, all right? So now let's choose album. Okay, that's an album title. Are you serious? Let's try to, Me and Your Ghost. Okay, that's fine. That's something like Moneybag Yo. That sounds like a type of album title he would give it. Okay, he or she, I don't even know what's happening. Now, we have an issue here with the type in relation to the background. What is the issue? It is, of course, a lack of contrast, right? Because this is a light image. It's sitting on light, and this is white text. Not enough contrast. There's a number of ways you can deal with this in this case, in this type of context. You can take the, the opacity down like that, but then you don't really get to see, the full, it just looks washed out essentially. So I don't like that. Let's bump that up to 100% right now. We could duplicate it, right? And then what we could do is change this from being an image, all right? And we're just gonna give this, 1 second here, move this over here. We'll remove that, and let's see here. Let me duplicate this again. And we're gonna add a fill, all right? So the fill, we'll just make our background color, or we just use the eyedropper tool. And then what we can do, because look, now we have 2 layers essentially, is the fill, we're gonna change to linear, except these need flipped, all right? And so now, let me take both of these up. Let's move them back to where they need to be. And I don't kind of like how it fades off completely into oblivion. So what we'll do is take this, and we'll take this one and take the opacity down just a bit like that. So to me, that works. Again, there's other things you can do. You can bring this up. So it's really up to you in terms of how you want to approach that. But now we at least have some solid contrast right here. All right. We can also further establish the visual hierarchy by making this, let's see, a regular weight. There. And now let's say, for instance, there's a way to favorite it or whatever. We'll go ahead and get our iconify. We'll do heart. Yeah, heart it. Okay, there we go. Another one of these monster ones. Shift Alt scale down. There we go. Oops. There we go. I'm used to using Adobe XD a lot, so the zoom key, the shortcuts are a little bit different. So now I'm just going to get this aligned up pretty well. Again, same amount of white space, bottom from the left over here, all looking pretty even at this point. All right, so now let's also say we want to have a new releases section. So I'll just copy this. New releases. We'll leave that there for now, actually. I'm going to have yet another icon here to indicate time. So time, I don't know. Which one do I want to use? There's so many that are similar. I think we'll go ahead and use... There's not one I really like that much. This one's like, the hand isn't correct. All right, Gary, you just got to choose one and just be done with it. All right. Normally I would just make my own, but I kind of want to move quick here. All right, so this one, the fill is going to be this color. No, not the fill. Sometimes you have to double click into these in order to change them because they're in groups. So now we can change them to this color. There we go. So now we'll take this, make sure again that it's around the same size, and it pretty much is. All right, we got our new releases section, and we're giving these, pretty much equal importance. So they're going to be styled the same. There we go. And we want to make sure all that alignment is even there as well. Actually, I'm not sure if this is aligned even. Yeah, it is. It just looked off for some reason to me. And now we're gonna have just a different, like a carousel, a different way to list out, you know, multiple new releases. So in terms of designated what's the most important content, it's this up here. Thus it has its own dedicated, you know, span. It's going all the way across its own panel. Here we may have just 3 new releases. And it's also a different type of content. This is a featured artist, and this is a new artist, so we can style it differently. Again, we're gonna keep consistent border radiuses. We definitely want to do that, and we will also put in another icon. I know we're just going crazy with the icons. We'll do a right arrow. All right, so I like this one. Bring that into view. All right. No, this is going to be white. There we go. And then we're going to put it right here. That looks like a pretty good size already. And then what we'll do is take this, duplicate it, push it over, hold shift, and duplicate that. I think we can make these all a little bit bigger. Like that. There we go. So now we can take all 3 of these. We're going to go back to our coda, go to music, and we'll choose image. All right, I like that. If you don't like any of the other ones, maybe this one is a little like, contrasts way too much, just select it and just keep on clicking until you find one that you like. That's fine. And then this one, I'll click it a couple times. That's fine too. Don't even care. All right, great. So now looking at this, we're coming along, we're making progress. Now let's also list out more releases. We're gonna say these are important new releases, right? They're more popular, so they're gonna have their own little containers. These ones will be less important releases down here, and they're not going to have any imagery associated. They'll just be card-based designs. So we're going to take this. Again, we want to make sure, see, this is a carousel, so these can extend all the way outside of the bounds of what we have set for the white space and the padding inside of the device. But we want this one, these 2 elements to match up right there. So it gave me a little indicator. All right, so now we'll go ahead and again, we want to keep consistent here. So let's go ahead and use, for the fill, this color. Although it might actually, oh, it's okay. That's 15 radius, so we got that the same. Yeah, this looks like it'll be fine. All right, so you could probably stand to go even a little bit darker, but that's okay. We're good with this. Let's just take this, right-click, bring to front, put it here. This is going to be the actual title. It's going to be the person's name. Okay, so they're the musician's name. All right, so I don't have to change that yet. I forgot I didn't have to do that. We're going to make it this primary color just to work in that primary color more so down here, down the line. And we'll get this situated. We're going to duplicate this. This is going to be the album title, and we're going to say that this is a little bit more important. So we will increase the size like to 15 or so. And again, not enough visual separation with just scale alone in this context. So I'm going to make it white as well. There we go. I like that. Looks nice. And again, if we don't want this much white space, we can just take this down just a notch. That looks good. All right. Then we're going to go ahead and have, I think maybe we'll just repeat these icons right here. Bring to front. All right. So maybe this will give us a little area where they can click to learn more about it, just like they can click these ones to learn more. And I think that's good. I was going to do something different like this, like give this its own container. Like we can change this real quick. So this will be 0. Which one's the other one? 0. No, that's not it. This is 15. It's this one, left. There we go. All right. And then we could just drop this down slightly. So you could do that. That's fine. I kind of don't like that. I'm just going to delete that. Keep things a little bit more simple. So now we'll take this, duplicate. Oops, forgot that Figma automatically does that for you. Right there. So now what we'll do is we'll take all of the actual names. We'll get out, oh, we already have Coda, it's right here. We'll get out the, this is the artist. All right, there we go. Take this, and this is the, maybe the name. We'll just do name. Maybe it's a song name. All right, and there we go. I kind of want to take these though, these containers, and I do want to make them a little bit less contrast. There we go. That's nice. Okay, I like that. Now, if you wanted to, you could separate these more from the background because, you know, there's areas where it's, you know, not quite as much contrast as you might like to define these little cards. You have two ways of doing that. You could take the background of everything. This is a little bit more risky because it can affect all the elements, and we can increase it subtly. So now these, as you can see, these things, you know, they really contrast pretty well now. But it threw off the contrast of these elements. And again, it's just a matter of adjusting things if you want to. So like we could take these fills, bump them up just a tad bit. Same thing with this. We'll bump that up just a tad bit. And there we go. You could do that. I'm going to back up though. All right. Or what you could do is, this is another way. Some of you might cringe if I do this, but I'm going to do it anyway. A drop shadow. We can add a drop shadow. So the drop shadow, we have a blur of, let's do 10 or 15. And then we can do X is 0, so we can push that over. Maybe just, let's do 10 and then 10. And then we can increase. Still hardly noticeable, but it is there. Let me take this fill and just slightly increase it just to see how much that's coming through. Okay. Well, that wasn't slight, but you get the point. I'm trying to just find the right amount. So I'm taking these three again. That drop shadow is coming through too hard, a little bit too harsh. So we'll take the opacity down. Right about there. So again, we're going to have to make that adjustment real quick. Take these and make the adjustment real quick. Like that. All right. So I kind of like it. Again, I'm almost wondering if it's a little bit too light. I'm not sure. You know what? We're going to leave it like it is. No, we're not. Oh, this is one of those tough parts. I'm almost wondering, like, I think at the background is just a tad bit too light. There. We're just going to do that. All right. Sorry, I'm going back and forth, but this is the process of design. There. I like that more. Okay. A little changes a lot, obviously. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the actual, see if I can paste this in over here, the requirement. So for the actual challenge, oh, I also forgot, I did want to show you one cool thing, another plugin. So if we go to plugins, install the one called Vectory 3D, and when you get it, open it up, and we're going to choose this one right here. All right, so it's a cool 3D sort of perspective mockup. So what we can do is take this, select it, and choose Use Frame. And we can move this around, and it actually has like actual gloss effects on it. And let's leave it like right there, I guess. Save view as image. Maybe it's that one. There we go. And just take a look at that. So now it's transparent, and it has even like a nice soft glow. And now you can use this as a quick way to feature your design and just make it look that much more cool. Very cool. So for the actual challenge, just to reiterate this, I want you to put in, I want you to create a prototype. I'll link this Figma file. You can download it. And then I want you to actually take this file and make a prototype, preferably one that animates with some type of cool animation possibly, between these artboards, where this page, you have to show like what this page would look like if somebody clicks on one of these elements or these elements. And so the page that it has to have artist name, the album name, the date released, and I want you to list the album tracks. So each track should have a play icon, each track needs a length, and each track needs a title. So list out like 10 of them or however much room you have, and just try to fill out this page in terms of a whole user interface, all right? And the person that I think's done the best, and maybe I'll choose a few, I'll go ahead and feature them. All right, everybody. So once again, if you want to take part in that contest, to simply download that Figma prototype that's in the YouTube description here and work on it, and then make it shareable, share it to the web within Figma, and then get the URL, go to Twitter, and then mention me at designcourse.com. And yeah, I might just check it out, and I will check it out, but I might also feature it in Friday's live UI UX show, which will either be at 9:30 a.m. or 10 a.m. I'm not sure which yet. You can hang out my Discord server, which is also linked at the bottom here, and usually I will announce that about a few hours beforehand. All right, so I'll see you guys soon. Goodbye.